What's up, social media losers, you YouTubers and Facebookers, and us better do with your fucking lives and watch this kind of shit. But here we are in suburbia, the lair of Jason V. You never thought he would live in a place like this. But anyway, this is the big release day, May 3rd, for Blood in the Streets. We promised you we were going to do an interview, and we're going to fucking do this interview. When it comes to bands with elaborate image, like with the mask and the makeup, you can think of Kiss, you can think of the Misfits, pop punk bands like Mask Intruder, and of course you got War, one of my favorites, Drunken Engines. But when you think of the leather jacket and the hockey mask and a genuine nasty fuck you attitude with a wall of sound of attack, there's only one band and it's unmistakably, and it's the fucking Jasons from Camp Crystal Lake. This is their day, May 3rd. It's not Friday the 13th, it's May 3rd. Let's go, let's get this interview done, and guarantee it's going to be a different, unique one. Okay, V, thank you for having us in your suburban home. This isn't exactly a cabin in the woods in Crystal Lake like we thought it'd be, but thank you for having us.
You know, a man's got to make a happy home wherever he moves. So, need to move into suburbia to be closer to things. Mom's not doing so well. Had to move closer to her doctor's appointments, and it's nice. It's a nice neighborhood. The neighbor kid mows the lawn, and yeah.
Do you pay him?
Place to live. Yeah, we pay him.
Cool.
Throw him $50, mows the whole lawn, whatever else we need.
You kill anybody yet?
No, the neighborhood watch. And also being an upstanding member of the force myself, kind of had the police brutality being what it is. The scene police brutality is also more of a hurting people's feelings instead of actually hurting people, but you know what I'm saying. So, especially, in our older days, we're 5 albums in, the urge to harm other individuals still there, but we just keep it under the radar.
So no illicit sex yet. We're disappointed.
Well, when the camera goes off. When the camera goes off.
All right, today is May 3rd. It's a very special day for you guys.
The release of new record, Blood in the Streets.
Blood in the Streets.
Celebration time.
Okay, before we get more into detail on the new record, we want to go back. I want to go back to the first record. Well, first let's talk about what inspired you to get into music, to pick up guitar and sing.
Kiss Crazy Nights and Kiss Killers. When I was 8 years old, my brother gave me 3 records. I've told a version of this story. I've never told the whole story. Gave me 3 records: Kiss Killers, Kiss Crazy Nights cassette tapes, and Hank Williams Jr. something or other. I don't know what it was, because when I got my records and I got my little boom box, I sat down in my room, and I remember I put in one of the Kiss records, and I was holding all 3 cassette tapes. And I was looking at Kiss Killers, I was looking at Kiss Crazy Nights, and I was looking at Hank Williams Jr. And I was looking and looking, and about 2 songs into that Kiss tape, I took that Hank Williams Jr. and I fucking threw it under my bed. I never listened to it. Never did put that thing in. Because when you got superheroes, badass 80s dudes, and some fucking cowboy hat with a beard, cowboy hat loses every time. So it taught me, what are we gonna look like? That's most important, even above talent. So talent you can work on honing your craft, but if you don't look cool, I'm not gonna listen to you.
So Kiss was definitely the cooler looking one compared to the redneck, I take it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can't even, and you gotta remember, Crazy Nights has Paul Stanley in a fucking G-string or a thong. So I mean,
yeah, that's right.
I mean even that beat out the cowboy hat. So a lot of times it was like I would look at the cover of Killers because they had makeup, and then I would listen to Crazy Nights because that's the one that had the fucking anthems on it. So
this bullshit people say that a gimmick band, it's just worried about the looks and the image. It's more about the music. You don't really buy into that, do you?
I feel like every band's a gimmick band for the most part. All these fucking stoner metal bands with the little, fucking brand new facial hair and shirtless with the vests, or the vest with the patches, and like I said before, we're a political punk band, we're mobilizing. Everybody's got a gimmick. Some gimmicks are fucking right on the nose, and some gimmicks are a little bit more covert. I figure if you're going to be a gimmick band, then you should just fucking put it out there, you know. But yeah, Ramones are a gimmick band. Everybody's a gimmick band. I mean, unless you just fucking make instrumental records with no cover and don't show pictures of yourself, you know. So
they go together. Image and music. You can look cool but sound like shit,
yeah.
And you can look, you know, you can sound good but you can look boring.
Yeah, and we look cool the whole time through our career, but we sounded like shit every once in a while. But people, you know, it's like we sounded, some of our, like the second record we did was pretty shitty, production-wise. But I think because of our look, people were able to sort of, kind of, it piqued their interest enough where they said, you know what, let me give it another listen. I want to like this, let me give it another listen. Then you're able to find the gems in there, you know. So it's like, there are a lot of good bands out there that people don't listen to because they're not visually appealing, you know. And the people that don't want anything to do with gimmick bands, they're just marks for that ideology that, oh, I only listen to, I'm a little bit higher on the evolutionary scale. I don't listen to gimmick bands. I only listen to Bad Religion or whatever. Well, gimmick band, you just don't realize it. So, you know, the people that like the Jasons are people that are okay with being that 13-year-old kid inside that thought Mortal Kombat was fucking cool. You know, and then the people that can't get past the way we look, think they're too highly evolved, they can go listen to that fucking first Fugazi record and be bored the whole time.
That's right. You mentioned the record. I like to go back to your very first record. What was it like making and recording that first album, the writing and the recording? And then we're just going to build up to where you went to where you're at now with Blood in the Streets. What was it like with that first album?
That first record was, so the way the fucking Jason started was it was an idea and I tried to execute it, tried to get it off the ground. We recorded a record, like 4 or 5 songs, and I was playing guitar and singing. There was another dude playing drums. I wrote I think 4 songs, and I think he wrote 2 songs. And he sang 1 and I sang 4. And then right before that record came out, we broke up. My fault. Girl came in the mix. You know, so the band ended. It was my idea, but, you know, he came in as a partner and he was the guy recording it. And so when that whole shit went down, again, my fault, me being a shitty person, we ended the band. He took all those records. The record was done. He scrapped it. I think he still has it. We've you know, sort of buried the hatchet since then, but that never happened. And so then it was put on hold for 5 years. Then for those whole long time, I just wanted to put it out. I couldn't stop thinking about these fucking songs. It was driving me crazy. So my songs, we never did, the Jasons have never recorded that dude's songs. Those songs just went, you know. But so I had those 4 or 5 songs, and then I wrote more and decided we were going to record it. Met 3D, met X, knew X, met 3D. We kind of got together to start the band. We were a band for a month, and called in a favor for this dude Sully. You know, he was in a cool hardcore band called Vent, and he had us let us go to his house for 2 days and record. So free recording. We recorded non-stop. He smoked cigarettes and fucking worked with his little analog thing, and it was alright. It was hectic. Jason X was fucking driving everybody crazy. And he got real drunk and was stumbling around the house there after he recorded his drum parts. And me and 3D were learning how to down pick. And that was kind of hard because we weren't good at it yet. And we just got what we could, and that was it. And we drove home, and we listened to the record the whole way. We were pumped, you know. And then shortly after, X quit, you know, kind of left us hanging in a rough spot. You know, he had to do what he had to do. We're still friends with X, but he really kind of put us in a rough spot. And I think the total, he had 5 songs, or 5 shows with the Jasons, and then he was out. So it was like we were a band, and the same month we were going to record a record, and in the same 2 months we were going to play our first show, and in the same, 3 months, the fucking drummer's gone, and we got to make another fucking record and find a new drummer. So it was real whirlwind, and we did the best we could. I did go back and record some vocals. One on "Mommy Got Beheaded by a Bimbo" because my vocals were so bad. Sounded like the worst Ben Weasel impersonation ever, and I was off key, and I was okay with all the other ones kind of not being great, but it was so bad I had to go back and re-record it. So I did go back and re-record vocals, but other than that, it was like everything was done in one take, So that record was real fast, but I've been waiting 5 years to do it, so it was like, I just want to get it done,
Second record, Stalking / Summer. What was it like with that one? The difference compared to your first? It definitely comes off more like a Bay City Rollers, beach, hanging out the beach type vibe feel album.
Yeah, that record didn't come out how we wanted it. In my mind, it was going to sound like the Queers, moved back home, and it was going to have all these falsettos and stuff, and I could hear them in my head, but we couldn't execute it. We had some dude that was going to record us, and he fucking backed out the last second. So we called Greg, the guy that actually ended up recording it, and we worked out a deal. It was like $666 to record, on a weekend.
666, that was actually the number?
It was 666.
That's fucking creepy.
I think that was just, we all thought that was funny, and that's not at all what he normally charged, but he just kind of got us in there on a weekend, and we just did what we could. And none of us were really, really happy with that one, but what we got out of it was Camp Arawak, which everybody fucking loves, despite the fact that it doesn't sound good. And he had mastered it, but I knew we were in trouble when I said, hey man, I asked him something about mastering, and he just kind of said, well, if it sounds bad, just have him turn it down. And I thought, oh no. And so, that record doesn't sound very good, and Cliffy Huntington remastered it, but it still doesn't sound good. He just did what he could. We don't have the actual tracks. We just have the WAV files. So attempting to remaster that record's almost impossible, and it just sounds so bad production-wise that I think it's hard for us to listen to because we don't like the sound of the production. The songs are fine, but what it did do was it got more music out there with the new members, which was Hollywood was in it, and Hell was in it. That's when Hell came through, but Hell was still learning how to fucking play 16th notes. Everybody, for the most part, learned how to play Ramones core to be in the Jasons. So he was not good at the drums yet. We were still shitty on guitar because think about it, it was like the same year that we put that out. So everybody was learning their stuff. The only one that was really good was Hollywood. He was a good guitar player, but everyone else was kind of learning. So the drums are lacking on that one, but it's the dudes have been in the band for hardly any time. So again, it was a rush job, and but people still like it because we talk shit on it all the time, and people always defend it and say they like Camp Arawak and stuff. So
speaking of Camp Arawak, the music video. Rick and I debated this. The girl, Angela, was actually a girl or a guy standing. There was a penis hanging there.
That was Hollywood.
Really?
we were on our way to a show, and we saw this little camp area, and we were like, let's film a video. We just came up with it. And so it was Halloween. It was near Halloween, I think, because we went and bought a wig, and Hollywood's the only one that had a sexy enough body to be a woman. So we put the wig on him, and we just filmed it in 4 hours, and that became it's got 20,000 views now on YouTube for 4 hours, and just whatever. And that same day we were filming that, I slammed the door on my mask, and it shattered, and I had to super glue it before the shoot. But you can't tell,
man.
But yeah, that's Hollywood.
Okay, next album. One that put you guys on the map, got you the notice. Definitely a step. I remember when I ordered the records, I got all three of them together and I listened to them in that order. The self-titled, Stalking / and then when you get into Get Fucked, immediately launches off the most. I always say that bands, when you do your opening, when you do a show or when you do your album, you need to have your most strongest, aggressive, stated song your first. You never come off weak first. And when that song just launched off with this fucking Get Fucked, Get Bean screen, I was like, that's the most ballsy fucking song I played that song over and over. And this album was completely different than the previous two. Now, what was it like getting that record recorded and the process of that?
That record was like us trying to put money towards it, because everything else had been real quick recordings, and we wanted to sound better, and we didn't want to sound just like the Ramones, so we made a conscious effort to do a little bit more like rock and roll, like maybe a little Dwarves. And we were real angry, me and 3D especially were real angry, because like a lot of the real super sensitive, you know, martyr culture that was going on in punk rock, and we were mad, just angry about how things were going, so we wanted something to be like a sort of like a sucker punch, you know, and so it was intentional, like we wanted it to be over the top, so we were like, we're gonna put tits on the cover, you know, we're gonna put as much profanity as we possibly can. And so, like, when I was writing the songs, my goal was, where can I add any more profanity? And, you know, like, that's the one that everybody seemed to fucking attach to. But it's also because we spent, you know, a couple $1,000s recording it. You know, we put the time in. We still recorded it at our house, but we hired somebody to come in who kind of had some know-how. And he came in, it was Brian Flowers he was in the Renfields, he was in the Big Bad, he was in a bunch of bands, and he's really good at that stuff, and he came in and actually did a good, you know, a legit job trying to make it sound like a real record. So $1,500, 3 days, and that's, you know, that's the best that we could do. So, you know, it came out good, and we got a good response. And it irritated people, you know, the marks out there that got offended by it, like, you know, it did its job. So, you know, and I still, you know, people still seem to like those songs the most. That's definitely, we know that was our step up, you know. We didn't really get a whole lot of attention or anything as far as music-wise until that record came out, so.
So you started getting more shows at that point too, right?
Yeah, yeah. It just, that record really was the first real record that we did, you know, and it's the one that, up until this record, people wanted to hear all the stuff from. Asshole was a big hit for us, you know, the big hit, in terms of what, you know, being a shitty band that nobody cares about, Asshole was a big hit for us, and people still want to hear that, and they still want to hear, like, American Slasher and stuff like that, so we put more time into it. And for us, that meant 3 days.
So tell us about the music video for that, I Want to Be an Asshole.
We just, we went to the local club. We got their permission at 123 Pleasant Street. We asked anybody who could show up to do it, and I think we shot it in like 4 hours. It was just, you know, that same thing. I edited the video, and our friend Donnie shot the video. And we just got what we got. It's the same thing every time we make a video. It's, you get done and you realize you don't have enough footage, and that's exactly what happened. So thankfully we wear these, and I could sort of sync up parts of the song where we maybe weren't actually singing those parts, but it still looks like it. Because if I had to match everybody's lips to the video, it would have been horrible. And if you watch that video, there are some times where, like, some people are not even playing, they're just standing there, but I've tried to figure out who the video was focused on at that point. Like, there's one where 3D's singing, and I think I'm just standing there, but you don't notice because you're focusing on 3D, so.
Next album, Get Sued. Now, we definitely seen with a much higher step up in quality sound. I remember when we got this one, I played it over and over. I just cannot believe the production, and especially your vocals. I think I've told you that it was track 5. It was, I didn't even know if it was even your voice. It was actually you singing. I mean, you definitely hit the woes, and you get that 50s crooning sound. So that's my favorite track. Actually, that was probably my favorite track up till the new album. I really heard you sing when it was different from all the other tracks. And I felt that the quality of that. How was it like recording that album?
The sad thing is, it sounds like this huge step up, but it's really just like the standard, and everything else was so far below that when you hear it, you think, wow, this is really highly produced, but really it's just a standard recording of what we did it with John, who actually has a studio, so it sounds like, you know, a good sounding record. But we did that record. I didn't want to record another record after Get Fucked right away, like another straight record. I wanted to do like a little break, because everyone kept saying that was our Master of Puppets, that Get Fucked was our Master of Puppets, and it's going to be hard to live up to, and I wanted a palate cleanser in between. I wanted people to have something in between that, because I knew we weren't going to do like the stereotypical, like, we didn't want to make Get Fucked 2, so we put that out. And people kept asking us to do that, because we did that talent show, or whatever the fuck, not talent show, that tribute show, and we didn't practice, so we just played Ramones music and sang Misfits lyrics, and people kept thinking that was funny, and that's used. We did like, I think it was 3 days for that one, and we went in with John, and we didn't use a metronome, we actually just had Hell play along to the Ramones songs, so we got the exact sort of same timing as they did and stuff, and a lot of those lyrics kind of we just worked on in the actual who the fuck's calling in there, in the actual process of recording it. I was like just trying to fit the lyrics in and stuff, so it worked out.
I always felt it was a mark of a band, they're a true genius, what they're able to accomplish if they could take someone else's song. Like for me with Motley Crue, when they did Helter Skelter, I never even heard of Beatles, and then it was their song. I heard the Helter Skelter cover on Shout, and then a few years later when I actually listened to the Beatles version, I thought it felt so fucking weak.
Yeah.
And I thought or some bands like Guns N' Roses did, like Knocking on Heaven's Door. When you could take a song and make it yours, I felt you guys accomplished that with Get Sued. You took fucking Misfit lyrics with Ramones songs, and you amalgamated them. You made something out of that. And now, like when we listen to a Ramones song, we hear the Misfit lyrics, and it's like that's brilliant. It's not really rip off. It's brilliant if you can do that and be able to pull that off. Which it was a genius album, I really thought.
There's this movie director called Alejandro Jodorowsky, and he's this fucking awesome director, and he made Santa Sangre, and he's done all kinds of stuff. But he was talking about, he almost remade that movie Dune, or that book Dune. He was going to remake it.
Okay.
And he was talking about one of the things that made me want to do that record was he was talking about his approach to remaking that material that people seem to love so much, and they were asking him, like, oh, you changed all this stuff, people are going to get mad. And he's Mexican, so the translation was a little weird and a little off, but he basically said, on the wedding night, the groom doesn't keep the bride dressed in her dress, and he doesn't let her sit there. He rips off the wedding dress and he rapes her. And he actually said that. He used the term rape. I think what he meant, being Mexican and that being translated, is you fuck the shit out of her. You don't say, oh, you're perfect in every way, you fuck it up. So like, to me, it's the same thing. If you're gonna cover a song, then why just do a very, very standard, faithful version of it? You need to fuck it up a little bit, so otherwise, just listen to the original. Unless, what Motley Crue fucked it up by just making it heavier and putting the energy there. We fucked it up by taking a Misfit song and using the wrong lyrics that make it sound better.
You get any question you'd like to ask?
I think I'm good for now.
Okay, let's discuss Blood in the Streets, the new current album. Of course, we have witnessed the past few months the making, the evolution of this album. We were asked to do backups on 3 tracks. I think so far what we've seen, this is the true labor of love or hate, depends how you want to put it. What makes this one the better standard? What did you have to work with on this album that you didn't have on the last previous ones?
No limitations. We had enough money that we didn't have to cut our recording budget short. So we were able to record as long as we wanted to. We were able to go back and edit everything. We spent a long time getting the drums to sound the way we wanted. We wanted it to sound like a big 80s production, not that shitty raw. You know, we already proved we can do that, so we wanted something that sounded real good. And we didn't like fine tune everything to the point where it was robotic, but we were able to spend enough time to make a record that sounded the way we really wanted to, like a no regrets sort of scenario. And we went back to John at Razorblade Recordings, so we still got, because he did do good on those vocals, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You went back and used the same guy from Get Sued to do this album.
Yeah, and the vocals, like, it's just the amount of takes, you know. On the first record, even on Get Fucked, you did enough takes until you got a take that was okay. Where on this record, I did like, you know, 30 to 40 takes on some songs because I wanted it to be a very specific way, and I didn't want to use auto-tune, you know, because it's real easy. You can do like 2 takes and then auto-tune it, or you can do 30 takes and get the exact take that you want. So that's the difference, you know. Like, we probably spent 3 days total doing vocals. That's crazy. We recorded every other record in 3 days, you know. So spending that much time that you don't have to like settle for anything. Lyric writing, like on the old ones, I just did one pass. Like, I write the lyrics, and that's what they are. And that was like the strategy, you know. It's just because it's like, these are fucking dumb lyrics. They don't have to be rocket science, but I spent more time writing the lyrics intentionally, trying to make it a difference. And we got a new drummer, we got a new guitar player. The new Jason Hell's drumming abilities increased what we were able to do so much. You know, he's just a different kind of drummer. Like, Old Hell was just a Peter Criss. He was a fucking straightforward, beat the shit out of your drums. And Scab Hell is a fucking Eric Carr. He's got more in his arsenal. Obviously not taking anything away from Old Hell, but he's got a different set of skills, you know. And Hollywood too, he's a different type of guitar player, you know. And he also knows a lot about recording. He also knows a lot about music theory. So that's something we never had in the band before either. So he wrote all those solos, and you know, we were able to figure out exactly what the sort of vibe we were going for, and he was able to sort of do it. So
the thing is, with this album, I mentioned earlier about your title track, Blood and Streets, the first song. I read those lyrics, going back, and I read them, and I'm like, this song's about rebirth, being reborn. There's lines in there like, you know, slay the old gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what is a god? Is someone who we bow and who we're inspired by. It's like you're slaying the past, because the Jasons, you know, for this past really year or two, you've gone through a lot of changes. A lot of bands that you played with have broken up. They don't play anymore, or they've gotten weaker. You're getting stronger, and it seemed like there's a liner that says you got something to say. Well, it's time for you to have had your say. You're coming up. It's about being reborn again. Yeah. And then, to me, that speaks as your strongest track. That is making a statement that this is a new Jasons. This is not the old. We're not giving tribute to the old guard, our old influence. This is something new, fresh, and different, and we're not going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, because we wanted the whole record to read as being like a complete. We wanted everybody to go like, "Whoa, this is really different," but it's the same, but it's a different thing. So we changed our look, we changed our guitars. You know, we changed everything. We changed members. We changed our attitude. You know, like the fucking anger and the rage that went into Get Fucked is a little bit different now. Like, it kind of evolved into like, let's fucking celebrate the fucking fall of all these other bands and all these people that, you know, had shit to say negative about us. And, you know, I mean, you know, we're in our little like local scene, even people wanting us to fail and hoping that we don't make it and calling us, you know, fucking whatever. You know, those people, we can even laugh because we lasted as long as we have. And, you know, victory isn't really always measured in how much money you make or how successful your band is. Sometimes it's just that you fucking survive long enough. So.
Yeah, especially in the world of the underground punk music scene. Again, this album is probably your strongest statement, the most aggressive. You can feel the rage. You didn't allow the changes of living in the past. You lost 2 new members. You gained. Some bands don't, when they lose members and get new ones, they don't do well. The Jasons seem, I think the album, when people really get this and listen to it, are going to see that this is the most strongest Jasons. It's the best version there is. This is the strongest statement you've made.
Yeah, having Hell and Hollywood quit, they told us they were quitting on tour, like the first day of the tour.
Right.
And we knew why they were quitting, is they were fucking beat. They were worn out. Like, they were 4 hours away from us. So we never practiced, ever. And every show we played, they would drive for 4 hours, get in the van, we would drive for 8 hours, play, drive back 8 hours, they would get in the fucking car and drive for 4 hours. And nobody's making fucking money in this outfit. So they were just dead. And, you know, but they were like, it was a security blanket because they were always there. But when they left, it made me and 3D fucking, you know, bond it together and be like, yo, we're not gonna let this end the band. You know, me and 3D have always been the sort of fucking people driving the fucking carriage, you know?
Yeah, like the Gene and Paul.
Yeah. And so it made us be like, yo, we gotta band together even more than we have and make it work, because we lost those 2 guys and those 2 members, and you know, but we always have been the fucking 2-headed monster, you know. Not that those dudes didn't contribute, but we were the band managers, you know. We were fucking pushing the directions and stuff, and so we were like, yo, as long as we're still in it, as long as we both still want to fucking push forward, we're gonna be fine, you know. And so we did, and it worked out because the people we have now live close. You know, I can walk down the street almost and go get Hollywood. We practice every week. We were a band for like 5 years and never practiced. No joke. We practiced when we played shows. That was it.
Wow.
So it's gonna sound more cohesive and better because we can actually practice, because they don't live 4 hours away. So
I just talked about the Blood in the Streets track, but my second favorite is Vera. I felt that captured the vibe and feel of track 5 on Get Sued. It seems like when you're reading the lyrics, everyone knows it's Shelly and Vera. And of course, Shelly gave birth to the Jason. That's where the hockey mask came from. And it seems like he's talking about his feelings, his emotions for her, and how he's got this mask. He's using the hiding behind the mask, his comedy. He's an insecure person, and he knows that she's feeling that way. She's from the wrong side of the tracks. And then of course he's killed. Jason assumes the mask. Then it seems to get interesting where you shift it, and it says where Jason's talking about from the point of view of Shelly. Like, he actually knows the way Shelly felt about Vera as Jason is killing her.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, I wanted it to sound like 80s Ramones a little bit, and but I didn't want it to sound like a Friday the 13th song so much. As in, like, a lot of times when I write about characters, I like to leave Jason out of it. So you just talk about the characters that aren't Jason, and then it doesn't read as just this fucking only for people that watch Friday the 13th. But the whole thing was written from the perspective of Jason. Once he puts the mask on and realizes that he's about to kill Vera, and he's like, I kind of just wish you would have went with that fat kid. You know, you guys would have been a lot happier if you wouldn't have been such a bitch, and he wouldn't have been such a dick. You know, like, if you would have just found each other and let it happen, maybe you'd be happy. But everybody's the idea was kind of like, unfortunately, you know, Vera was stuck in being a poor minority girl who was always going to be looked at least until, you know, to that point, always going to be looked at as that poor minority. And Shelly was always going to be looked at as that fat, curly-haired doofus. And Jason, you know, his situation is the most desperate of everybody. You know, Shelly could go lose weight, fucking get a better haircut. Vera could fucking go get her education, get a job, and do all those things. But Jason's going to always be a fucking mongoloid. There's not really any place you can go from mongoloid.
He's not going anywhere else.
Plus, you're already a fucking mass murderer. You know, you killed everybody in part 2. So you're kind of fucked.
It kind of felt like a little bit like the Final Friday off Get Fucked, about the tragedy of when he was sinking to his death.
Yeah.
He was just giving up, letting the waters take and put himself, his mother out, his misery, just wanted to leave all the suffering behind. And of course, fate didn't allow that. And it kind of had that vibe, that feel of the Final Friday a little bit.
Those two songs, I kind of felt like Vera was the Final Friday of this record, and I wanted to have that vibe. Like, there's a Riverdale's record called Tarantula that has the same vibe that Vera has on a lot of the songs that that Dan sings on that one. And so I was sort of trying to go along that same path, a little bit of a remorseful, whimsical, whatever. The fucking, tragic. I guess it's fan fiction, really. I guess you're fucking talking about Jason's fan fiction in that song, but trying to figure out what Jason might have been thinking about and stuff. I don't know.
And that one last track I want to talk about is Red-Blooded American Punk Rock. For me, that is one of the most definitive punk rock songs ever. So when you think punk rock, what is it? It's simplified street rock, pure fucking attitude out the ass, and it's like being a threat. Punk was always, first and foremost, a simplified, stripped down threat. And that song comes off threatening. Now, when you read it, when you get to the lyrics, it definitely comes off a twofold interpretation of that. Is it a knife attack, or could it possibly even be a rape? It's like forced entry. Could it be interpreted as a rape or an actual murder? Is the blade the penis, or is it an actual plunging in the heart murder taking place?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to write a song that sounded like a Wasp song. And like a lot of those Wasp songs, like it's about like getting chicks, but you're like, man, it kind of just sounds like sexual assault a little bit, like. And I thought that was like the funny, that's what's funny about a lot of those songs. You play them in today, like in 2019, and you're like, this just sounds like fucking rape. And a lot of those dudes back in the day are talking about like underage girls and all that stuff. And so the absurdity of those lyrics, like, I thought it would make a good play against singing about, killing somebody versus fucking somebody. Pretty much the same thing, It's not necessarily about rape or anything like that, but it's definitely about like trying to make the listener question that for sure. Like,
yeah. Not even your virginity can save you tonight. Forced entry. You do have these people that can interpret that, because we do live in a very offended society. Could they, some may even interpret that as rape.
Well, that's that's the hope, is that that we irritate somebody, that somebody gets offended and starts to come at the Jasons and say that we're rape culture or something, because you don't fucking write a song like that unless you are you kind of pre-plan for that. So in our mind, it's like taking the C4 and beep, 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 and then setting it and waiting on whatever idiot it is out there to come and get offended. But in the end, it all blows up in their face because they look fucking stupid, because you're taking something serious from somebody like this. I mean, really? But that's the thing, but the thing that usually disappoints us is the low level of people. There aren't many people that get offended, because I think so many people are fucking smarter than that now, and they're in on it. But every once in a while, people get offended. There was a local dude not long ago who put out this thing. He was like, I don't like the Jasons because I feel like they just want attention and they're just trying to be edgy. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of like, if you think that you're having a revelation, that you just realize that the Jasons were out to fucking get your attention and fucking push boundaries and make people irritated, then you're not as smart as you think you are. Like, it's obviously an antagonistic, it's the same thing as like a band like Guar or a band like fucking whoever, Wasp in the 80s. Wasp did it all the time, And so if somebody gets offended by those lyrics, we win. But really the downside is that everybody gets it. Like, very rarely does anyone ever get offended. It's strange for the new thing, but you know, I think, but that's what you do. You set the traps for the one idiot in the group that takes things too seriously, and you just let it blow up in their face, you know.
I mean, yeah, you take like this band, you feel it has more to say. People say just, oh, it's just Friday the 13th themes. I mean, all the albums have that theme, the lyrics focusing on a scene or a certain person from the movies. But the Jasons are more than just about the slasher horror flicks. You feel you have something more to say and offer than just as that as a band.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Jason is it gets you attention because people know who that is. People know that character. But, like, I don't ever think that I have to keep writing Jason songs, because I feel like it's like once you take the character and do something with it, like, it's not coming from Jason Voorhees. Like, I don't speak for Jason Voorhees. I speak for Jason V, you know, Jason 3D, you know, these are completely different things. You know what I mean? Like, so when you take something and you know, there was a thought, like, way back in the beginning of the band, trying to figure out how it was going to be, we were going to play song, and then it was going to stop, and we were just going to stare out at the audience, because Jason doesn't talk. And maybe in between songs, you just play the fucking Jason sound, and then you go back in, and then you stop, and then you go back in. And it was like, if that would have been the case, we would have been always, you know, coming from the approach of the actual fucking character of Jason. But there was more stuff than that, you know, that limits you too much, because then you're just stuck there. Whereas Jason Voorhees doesn't give a fuck about the scene and putting people down in their place and all that shit. But Jason V cares about that. You know, I want to fucking talk about that stuff. So, you know, that's the thing. It's like, we don't have to sing about Jason. You don't have to come from that. But, you know, that just happens to be the fucking, you know, it's like that, what's that fucking thing that, that fucking V for Vendetta shit. He was wearing that mask, but it was kind of, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to find a good analogy, and I can't figure one out other than this, which is fucking, it's not really about what Jason Voorhees has to say, it's about what the Jasons have to say. And the Jasons are a fucking punk band, you know, so.
No Motivation, definitely one of our favorite tracks.
Yeah.
3D knocks it out of the park.
Roll. It's fast. It's hard.
Rick actually starts masturbating at the beginning of that song and actually finishes at the end of that song. That's how fast it is. Perfect masturbation song. Just a couple more questions. We're going to wrap it up.
Talks about masturbation, isn't it?
No,
it's all about masturbation.
No, you gotta have those DD songs.
You gotta have.
The Ramones have 3D.
Oh.
Or the Ramones have DD and we have 3D. So the idea is you always want to get your fucking 3D song in there, because it breaks that, it kind of breaks it up a little bit. It's like a little intermission, and it fucking hits you real hard, and then it brings, you know what I mean? So that's what those DD songs did, and it gives people a little variety, and you know, it just, I feel like every Jason's record needs that 3D fucking gravelly, growly song in there, and this time he, I can't 100% speak for, you know, what 3D was thinking on that one, but I think we were both really stoked on fucking Flamingo Nosebleed and stuff.
Oh,
and
excellent,
I think there was a little bit of influence from them when we went on that tour with them, that, you know, I think he took a little bit from that one, from that band. I think he took a little bit of an inspiration from them when he wrote that song.
Talking about jacking off and Dee Dee Ramone in the same sentence, the last track on that album, I jacked off to Dee Dee Ramone. I love the fucking the song, the melody of that. It's so catchy. I could just almost feel Dee Dee Ramone just looking down from heaven or hell, wherever the hell he's at. Like, that's fucking it. I could feel him just beaming with a smile on that one.
It's about the trouble when you put your record buying ahead of your nudie magazine buying. You gotta make do. I mean, I've jacked off to some weird things. Number one being, when I was young, I chose to buy a copy of Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo instead of buying something to jack off with. So I found myself trying to jack off. I had this little shrunken head. It was a little latex shrunken head. And so I had my Killer Instinct game cartridge, and I'm like waiting. My parents are cleaning this office building, right? And I'm waiting for them to be done cleaning, and I'm sitting there reading the Killer Instinct manual, and there's this character, she's kind of hot, and I was like, fuck. And I'm like, you know, when you're like fucking you're a young teenager, you jack off to anything. So I just saw this little shrunken head, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck that shrunken head. So I'm in the car, and I put it on my dick, and I was getting ready to fuck this shrunken head and look at the Killer Instinct manual, and then my fucking dad comes walking out. And I went, Jesus Christ, I threw the shrunken head, and I zipped up my shit. And I zipped up my shit. Like, I zipped up my dick so much. It was like something about Mary level. And, you know, and you can't scream, because then your dad goes, why are you fucking screaming? Oh, don't worry, Dad. I was jacking off in a shrunken head to the fucking Killer Instinct manual. Nope. You had to fucking straight face it. Dad comes and gets something out of the car, goes back. Then I gotta fucking deal with, you know, my fucking, however old I was, 10 years old, 11 years old, whatever, 12, 13, who knows. Can't remember. But whenever Killer Instinct came out, had to deal with, oh my God, I just ripped my dick off. So I managed to go into the place they were cleaning, pretend I had to use the bathroom, screaming inside the whole time, check things out, and then I yelled, ouch! And he said, what's wrong? I said, I just zipped up my dick in my pants. And I was okay, but so.
Are you circumcised?
No, yes, sir, yes. And if I hadn't
It'd be
been,
worse if you wasn't circumcised.
You personally know that, don't you?
I know about this. That's another story.
Yeah. But you know, so writing that song, it seems absurd, but it's not that absurd. Because what's more absurd, jacking off to Dee Dee Ramone after you black his face out, or fucking a shrunken head? I mean. So yeah, it doesn't take a creative mind to do that. You just gotta fucking be a teenager. Everybody's jacked off to something.
Did it leave teeth marks on your wiener?
You know, none that didn't heal. None that didn't heal.
Real quickly, what's the most badass? Real fast, what's the most badass experience you ever had in your life? Some that day you want. If you would write a memoir, the one thing, the most badass event that ever happened in your life. We're winding this down, by the way, but we got to get this. The question of questions.
So the most badass thing I've ever done?
Most badass thing you ever done, and you would put it in your memoirs.
So everybody has that moment that is like those action movies where you walk out of the building and the fucking building explodes. And you walk out in slow motion.
There you go.
Now, so I'll preface this by saying this. I'm not a fucking ladies' man or a Casanova by any means. I mean, I know that's hard to believe. But I was dating this girl, and we had broken up. And you know how it is when you break up with a girl, it's like, oh, you left your sock at my house, I gotta bring it over. And then, oh, you left this. So I was dating this girl, and it was one of those things. I had to take something back to her house. Some bullshit, you know. Oh, I have your notebook with blank paper. Don't you know? Because you're going back and forth. You know, it ain't over. It's over. It ain't over. So I go back to this girl's house to take her whatever it was back, and I walk in. And she has, we're just talking, oh yes, I'm so sorry we broke up. Yes, we're better for it now, but we'll always be friends. You know how it is. And she had this tray of muffins sitting on her counter.
Muffins.
And I looked over and I said, when did you start baking? And she said, oh, I didn't bake those. Those are from, I don't remember the guy's name. Those are from Ryan.
Ryan.
And I said, who the fuck is Ryan? And she goes, oh, it's this guy at work. And I said, is that your new boyfriend? And she said, no, he's just a friend. And I don't know what happened, but we started having sex, right? Just started having sex. And again, not a ladies' man, but started having sex. It was all a blur. We moved it and had sex on the washing machine. I'm not kidding. And then when we were finished, I just turned around and I walked out, right? And then I looked over at those fucking muffins. and I got sort of just turned into this fucking gorilla mentality, and I fucking ate the muffins, and I threw the tin in the sink, and I said, "Tell Ryan his muffins were delicious." And I walked out.
That's fucking badass.
And in my mind, the house exploded, and I walked out without flinching.
In slow motion.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has one of those moments, but
was it better than the shrunken head?
you know what? The shrunken head was probably, to this day, I never did get to finish with the shrunken head, and I always said if I found it, this little latex, black, like with teeth, scary looking shrunken head, I would buy it, and I would make love to that shrunken head like never before, because it's unfinished business, you know. So,
all right, real quickly, you got a tour coming up here this summer. Well, where are you going? Cities you're going to be hitting?
I don't know. Jason 3D books all of the tour. I drive, but they tell me where to go, so I have no idea where we're going.
I know you're primarily going out west.
Yeah, we're going to. I know Las Vegas is on the trip, and I know California is on the trip.
Did you ever get an LA gig booked out there?
Yes.
You did?
No, it may not be in LA. We got a gig booked somewhere. We tried to hit that band Salem's Lot because we're big fans of that
Oh
band.
yeah, man, they're good.
But I don't think they ever got back to us or something. But we really want to play with Salem's Lot. That's one of our favorite bands right now. But I don't know what I guess they never got back to us or whatever. But yeah, we didn't make it. We didn't manage to get a show with them. But I don't know where we're going. But it's all online and stuff.
Okay, then you got the vinyl release for Blood in the Streets coming up this summer.
Yeah, we were gonna have it out in June, and then we found out that no matter what we did, it wasn't gonna be ready for the tour. So we decided not to order the vinyl right away because we would rather have more merch for the tour. So more T-shirts, cassette releases, deluxe versions of our first couple records, all that shit is coming out.
Any more do like a different kind of merch production you're going to be doing that you haven't normally done before? Anything like really sticks out?
The cassette for Blood in the Streets, it's going to be like a platinum mirrored, like a metal cassette, like a metal finish with blood splatter all over it. So like it's going to be limited, limited to I think 100 copies or whatever. So that's different. And then we got some cool tour shirts and stuff, but we didn't want to blow all of our money and then have less for tour when we weren't going to have the record anyway. If we could have had the record for tour, we would have done it. So the idea is we're going to buy all this other stuff, sell it on tour, come back, order the record, and it'll be ready whenever,
Future goals. Where do you see yourself 5-10 years now with the Jasons?
Oh man, I don't know. We got, I know like, we do like, sort of project ahead. The next thing we're going to do is called the Jarvis House EP. Not EP, sorry, the Jarvis House 7-inch. So in this last session, we recorded 2 songs that didn't end up on the record. We actually recorded 3 that didn't end up on the record. But one of the songs is called Murder at the Jarvis House, kind of a play on Murder at the Brady House. And that's one that I wrote. And then 3D wrote one called Tommy's Mom, about Tommy's mom from Tommy Jarvis's mom. So we decided we were going to do a 7-inch, and on one side it's going to be Jarvis House, and the other side it's going to be Tommy's Mom's, strictly 7-inch only. One of those deals, And then maybe way later down the road when we do a deluxe, Blood in the Streets, it'll be on there. So we're going to do that. And we got the Queer split coming out. That's kind of whenever Joe Queer, all the songs are recorded, the artwork is done, and Joe's supposed to be talking to some label that he knows or something. We told him we would just put it out on our own if he doesn't find a label, because we're fine with that. We could make that happen. But that's coming out at some point. And then the next record after this, what we decided we're going to do a double live record. Because
live record. Kiss Alive, man. You got to follow that tradition.
You got to follow that pathway. So now
I love both of those Kiss Alive albums.
Yeah, well, and now we have enough songs that we could literally, like, we want it to be double live. So we're going to do enough songs to fill 2 albums, which could really basically almost be our entire catalog live. and we're gonna put that out.
Wow.
So just because, again, it's like it's a good strategy to go full-length record, something in between, full-length record, something in between, and we kind of, if you look at our history, we kind of did that. First record, Stalk and Slash Splatterama, then we did Get Fucked, then we did Get Sued, Blood in the Streets, live record, next studio record. Fucking Insane Clown Posse does that same thing too, which is, it's an interesting, since we're playing The Gathering of Juggalos soon, I guess that's an interesting factoid there. But yeah, it makes sense. Give people a break in between full-length records and don't make yourself have to just fucking pound something out.
One final question. If you could have your own Mega City 1, who would you make your force, your police force, your judges? What kind of laws, rules would you say if you had to rule millions upon millions of people to keep law and order? How would Jason V keep law and order in your own Mega City 1?
Oh God. I wouldn't want to be Chief Justice. I wouldn't even want to be a street judge, really. I've learned that this is the truth. I truly believe that if you wanted to fucking hold the common man, if you want to rule the people, all you need to do is control two things: cigarettes and caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you control those things, people will fall in line. It's crazy. But, you know, I've seen lots of examples where a cigarette calms somebody down from being, I'm going to kill you, to, all right, we can fucking talk. So I think the idea of Judge Dredd in Mega City limiting caffeine, limiting, you know, sugar, limiting all of that stuff, like, those comics were fucking onto something, you know. But I think Mega City, the actual Mega City 1, could really be enhanced if they just rationed it out. You know, look at those fucking Mad Max movies where they're rationing out water to live. That's the kind of shit you would do. Now, would you want to do that? Fucking, you know, be a living hell.
Hell no.
But yeah, I think if you, I know that's not the witty comedy answer, but caffeine and fucking cigarettes, I've seen it change people.
Yeah, when you work in a mental health facility,
Exactly.
that's a fact there. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Jason V, thank you for having us. Today is the release date of Blood in the Streets. It's got big things coming. You ain't seen nothing yet from the Jasons. Bigger and better shit is coming. Thank you for having us in your suburban Stalk and Slash home.
Thank you.